to let the person say everything that's important to them first. So you're listening usually for rebuttal, so that you can say, oh, okay, let me throw back at you what you said. And for this reason, this is the reason why you need us, because you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And you haven't really figured out what's the most important thing to the counterpart yet. Barbara, you're muted.
That's really important because you don't want to listen to rebut, because now you're making it about you and you're making it about what's important to you, and you're trying to explain. When you're rebutting something, you're trying to explain. So listening is so important. Slow down, take a breath. Don't get ahead of yourself. If you have to, write down some people stay on track by keeping notes in front of them. But that's one of the key things what Troy was saying. You don't want to get in a hurry because you're going to miss a lot if you are.
Another thing is getting in your reps. You have to have your reps in. So when you're in that type of conversation, that difficult conversation, it's more natural to you to use the skills. If you haven't been getting your reps in and practicing, when you get in that situation, you're focusing so hard on using a label, using a mirror, the dynamic silence. Oh, I need to paraphrase that. While you're thinking about that, you're missing valuable information. You're not listening at the highest level to understand.
Something I can add to that, we could, in relating it to our career as hostage negotiators, if we had a tense situation and a person is talking and we're trying to think about what we want to say, and if that person said something like, um, I think I need to get rid of a few of these hostages, and we missed it, what do you think that would have cost? It would have costed lives. So relaying that to your line of work within the business world, if you're not listening and somebody says something to the effect of, I don't think this deal is right for us, or I think we need to try another company, and you're so focused on getting in what you're going to say, is that going to actually cost you in the long run? Yes, it will. So that's why it's so important. Slow down, pay attention. You get more from listening than you do from talking, because if you're listening, what are you gaining from that conversation? If you're the one that's listening, you have control. You're giving that other person the illusion of control, because when you're talking, you feel you have control of the conversation, but actually when you're talking, you're giving away information. So when you're the listener, you actually have full control of that conversation. So just keep that in mind.
If you wouldn't be opposed to it, I'll give you guys an example that recently happened, and it was an opportunity to get some low stakes practice. Last week we were in Chicago teaching several of instructors and coaches, and on the flight back, I was flying into Dallas, and I'm sitting in the emergency exit row, and about 30 people in, some lady sees that the seat closest to the door is available, so she jumps right over me and jumps in that seat. And I'm one of those people that I'll get up and move out of the way so that you get it. But she was in such a hurry that she jumped into the seat. And after she got settled in and realized that nobody else was going to sit in between us, she turned and looked at me. She says, "What do you do for a living?" And I saw that as an opportunity to get some low stakes practice in. And I said, "It seems like you have a reason for asking that." I used one of our go-to labels. And she goes, "Yeah, because you dress so nice and I don't see people flying like that anymore." And I used another label. I said, "It sounds like you have an interesting profession." And she started talking. She said, "Yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm a pediatrician, and I live in Lubbock." And she's talking, and I'm giving her encouragements. Oh, and she tells me, "Yeah, and I'm from Egypt, and my husband's a doctor, and you know, we have 5 kids. And I said, 5 kids? I mirrored her. She said, yeah, 5 girls. And she's talking to me, and this goes on for about 15 minutes. We're talking. And I haven't said a word other than mirrors, labels, and dynamic silence with her. And then she said something that I thought was one of the funniest things, but it gave me a black swan. She said, you know, my husband read this book called Never Split the Difference. If you ever have an opportunity, get it and read it. It works. He says, you know, he just broke away from his partners in the industry, in the as doctors, physicians, and he started his own business, his own practice, and it's just working out. And he used these skills, and man, these skills are phenomenal. And I started smiling, and I let her finish, and she's going on and on about, you know, never split the difference. So finally I said, would you be opposed to me sharing with you what I do? And she said, no, I'm very interested. I said, I work for the company that wrote that book. You're kidding. And so she goes online, she looks it up, she sees all the coaches and stuff, and she sees my face, and she says, man, she can't wait till we get ready to land. She gets on the phone, she calls her husband. You'll never believe it. I'm on the plane sitting next to one of the guys that book you're talking about. He's here, he's on the plane with me. And what's your name, sir? I said, Troy, you know. So she goes, Troy, would you, my husband don't believe me. Can I give him your number? I said, sure. I gave him my number. And by the time I got off the plane, he had texted me. And she was talking to him, and she realized that she didn't know anything about me other than what I had just told her. So her husband's saying, you know, he texted me, he says, look, I love this book and I want some more training. I want this and that. And I said, okay. I said, you know, as a matter of fact, we have a 2-day training coming up in Dallas in your neighborhood, not too far from you, in June. And he said, sign me up. I said, I can't sign you up. I said, just go to the website. So we have a limited number of spaces, and, you know, reach out to the business development team, and they'll take care of you. And he was all excited. And she gets off the plane. I get off the plane. We're walking down the, what's it called? And she tells me, she goes, man, it was just so exciting to talk to you. I really enjoyed sitting and talking with you. And I smiled because she only knew 2 things about me. She knew my phone number. She knew that I was part of the team, and my name. And so the skills work if you take the time to practice, get some reps in, and you'll get some information, some black swans, because I was able to gather that, you know, all that information. And I told the team about it that weekend, and this individual can't wait to go through the 2-day training.
Well, I hope you get comped on that commission check right there. You just sold a seat in Dallas.
No, we're all team players.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear, pivoting a little bit to the proof of life stuff. So understanding, like, trying to get somebody to basically articulate your value prop, right? And the fool or the favorite. Now, from a perspective of, let's say this is an inbound lead coming to me as a salesperson, that's a good opportunity to ask them why, why us, right? If you flip that on its head, let's say, we outbound reached out to somebody, they saw some interest in meeting with us and learning more. How do you position the why question in that situation where somebody isn't necessarily coming to you, you reached out to them?
You want to start, Barbara, or do you want me to start?
You can start, Troy.
All right. So now it's an outbound call. So you want to summarize why you're calling them. It's some background noise. I don't know who's.
Yeah, Ed, can you go on mute, please?
Okay. Yeah. So it's an outbound call. So you want to summarize why the call is there. You know that they're looking for something that you have to sell or that you have to offer. That's normally why you call that individual. You want to start figuring out what their needs are, what their wants are. Sounds like you have a robust business, and you always seem to be looking. You may be looking for an opportunity to strengthen it or grow your business. start having them talk about the business. You know, as much as you want to get the proof of life in early on, if they don't know you, you want to find out as much as you can about them. And then when you get an opportunity, you want to do a no-oriented question. Would you be opposed to letting me share some of the things that we have to offer? And they're like, no, you've heard everything that they have to say. Listen to them very carefully. Make sure you summarize any opportunity you get or paraphrase what they're saying. Make sure you heard them real good and wait, especially summarize before that and get that's right. Now they're ready to listen to you. And once they're ready to listen to you, you want to find out if they even know anything about your company. Have you ever heard of us? And if they say yes, so you took this, I first of all, I want to thank you for taking the phone call and give me an opportunity to sit down and learn a little bit more about what your goals and wants and needs are, because it's all about them. Because you allowed me to talk, why would you be willing to do business with us? And they're going to tell you if they know anything about you or if they don't. They may not know anything about you, but they may say, you know what? You're the first person who called us that genuinely wanted to hear what our needs were. You weren't just coming in and trying to sell me a product that we may not even need. I like spoke to us. And they start giving you the value proposition. So sometimes you have to be mindful of the fact that you have to be patient first. Don't pitch your game first. Find out what their needs and wants are. And people are 6 times more likely to do business with somebody they like. So become likable. And then hit them with the proof of life. And they're going to tell you, I like you. I've talked to a lot of companies all the time, and they're always just telling me how great they are. And you're more concerned about what my needs are first. Sylvia, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. What you just talked about, it sounds a lot like it could also work, that first part, via email, because a lot of inbound leads or come in via email first, and that's where the other side is very silent. And traditionally, salespeople reach out saying, "Oh, thank you, and here we want to tell you everything what's great about us." But what you suggested is like something the email could even say, it looks like, or it sounds like you are interested to talk with us, because something to start it that way. What do you think about that thought?
Barbara, you're muted.
Yeah.
Apologize. Sylvia, what you want to do is, just like Troy said at the beginning, you have to build that tactical empathy, because remember, you called this person, they didn't call you. They have no reason to proof of life, So in the beginning, you have to build the tactical empathy on the front end. Let them know that you understand. Let them know that you understand what they're up against, what decisions they have to make, everything that goes towards them deciding on your company. Once you get to that point where you've developed that tactical empathy, proof of life may not even be necessary. But if you have to do it, like Troy said, it comes after putting in the work. Okay, I would never advise you to do proof of life before you put in that work first, because this person, they have nothing to lose because you called them. Okay, it's not so much they have an account they need to be concerned about or anything. You're trying to establish the new account with them, so you have to establish the tactical empathy first. You can do that over email. We prefer that you use the email to get to the phone call, and that's going to be your first. The first thing that you need to try to do is get them to the phone call, because then one-on-one, face-to-face, over the phone, it's a lot easier to develop the tactical empathy with somebody, because you're putting them first. You're giving them, you're putting yourself out there and letting them know that I'm interested in you. That's why I called you. I'm interested in what you have to, how your business can help our business, or I'm interested in how what I can do for your business. Whatever it is that you're trying to you want to put your value out there to that person before you get that person to put their value proposition out to you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Email is probably the last thing you want to use if you can't get them to the phone. Yes, then go to email, but try to get them to the phone. Use the email just to get them to the phone first.
And
Yeah.
and if you're using the email, you want to keep it short. You want to know something about it. Do a little research. Don't just cold call somebody. Know a little bit about the company. Find out what their core values are. Say, put something in the email that correlates with what their values are. Sounds like you have a very interesting company, that you're forward thinking. Would you be opposed to uh, getting on the line with me for 3 minutes? Say, give them a short amount of time, and in that time, if they say yes, say 3 minutes. That's not a lot of time. Know that in 2 minutes, you need to start working your way off the phone and try to schedule a longer conversation. That's your introduction to get to know somebody. Most people don't, 2 to 3 minutes is not a long time. And if you say something interesting, and normally if you're saying how great their company is, you're basically proof of life in them, how good they are. Then they're more willing to talk to you, because you haven't gone in and tried to sell them something right away. You're trying to find out what make them as good as they are, and how can they get better.
So I want to summarize this for the group. So if it's somebody you're reaching out to, right, you're trying to get time with them, you can't necessarily proof of life them until you've built some sort of rapport and understand, or at least demonstrate to them that you understand their perception of the world, right? So it sounds like you could effectively use a proof of life if you're continuing the conversation, you're getting into next steps. Now you're trying to figure out, all right, is this a deal or not a deal? Now I need them to articulate what our value is after we've had, let's say, 3 or 4 conversations. Do I invest more time in this deal? Do I invest more time in these folks?
Yeah, you want to get the proof of life before you ask. See if you, like you said, that's where you find out if you're the fool or you're the favorite. Is there a reason for them to want to do business with you? Normally, if you've had several phone calls with them afterwards, after the initial call, then they're considering you. Most people wouldn't waste their time after the initial call if they weren't considering you.
What are your thoughts on, let's say it's a first call with somebody, I sent them a cold email, they agreed to a call, go through a quick introduction, kind of let them know who I am, what my role is. Opening up the conversation with saying something like, just out of curiosity, what made you decide to take this call today?
Sure, you can do that. There's no harm, no foul.
I feel like that's kind of like a semi proof of life type of question. At least you can try and understand, what's important to them right off the bat, or what motivated them to take the call.
So you would say, why were you willing to take this call? Because we use the what and the hows as our calibrated questions for, the implementation and gathering data. So the why is, why us? Why give me an opportunity to talk to you?
Right, because they could essentially be like, well, we're actually evaluating this piece of technology right now, which would expedite the conversation a lot more than if you just went right into it, or if they were just like, oh, I heard a little bit about this and wanted to learn more. Then at least it's very early on, right? It's pretty exploratory.
That, and they may have started researching you because you had the email. And now they want to know a little bit more about your company. They have some interest in you. great ways to do it. Those are several ways to get started and start working on building that tactical empathy. And again, it always goes back to, like we said, time, be patient, find out as much about them as you can initially, build that relationship so that you can get that trust-based influence. And that'll help you versus because they're willing to talk to you that you think it's okay to pitch game right then and there.
That is so key. If you don't do it up front, you're probably wasting your time with that person because you haven't developed any sort of understanding or relationship with that person. So just remember, don't be so quick to jump into the proof of life, because if you develop the tactical empathy and you develop a understanding with this person understands that you get them, you may never ever have to get to the proof of life. Because this person wants to work. Remember, the person is 6 times more likely to work with somebody that they like. So if you build that up front, you may never even have to get to that point of proof of life.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think for me, at least I try and come into these conversations if it's someone that we reach out to with a hypothesis, right? We reached out to them. We feel like there's an area that we could add value to their business, right? So I think most of the time I will start off with almost like a summary of what my hypothesis is and let them respond to that, right? Demonstrate to them that I've done some research, I've come up with this hypothesis, and to the point of people, the desire to correct is irresistible, right? So if you get it wrong, they will correct you, right? If you say, oh, well, it seems like you guys are in hyper growth mode. I saw that you just got a round of funding. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys are using that funding to address XYZ, right?
So it sounds like when you're doing that, you're forgetting about the accusations audits. I'm probably the last person you want to talk to. You want to set those up first. You want to get out the things that they're concerned that they may be thinking about you. When you go, hey, we heard you had a round of funding, right away they're thinking, oh, he's out here just for the money. That's what I would be thinking. That now this guy he don't research me now. He's just trying to get some money. The product he had may not be that good, or I may not even want to do business with him. So you want to do the accusations audits. You want to, and then look at what their needs are, because you're not looking at their fear in that moment. They're afraid that this is another knucklehead or somebody that's just trying to get my money. So be mindful of that. And that's why we said it's so important to be patient. If you start off with that, if it were me and I was the counterpart, I would say, you know what? I don't want to talk to this guy. He don't care about me. He just cares about the fact that I just got some money in and he wants to know how can he get some of it. So go in with a strategy, have goals. We talk about the one sheet, set up your goals, have a strategy. And one of the things you might want to put down there is make sure that 70 to 75 to 80% of that conversation is about them. You want to go in there and build a rapport first, build that relationship first, show deference, show humility, get them to realize that you want to know as much as you can to so that the two of y'all could be better off.
For sure. And I know we got a couple minutes left. Anybody have any specific questions around proof of life or information gathering in general? Want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to talk here.
Go ahead, Edward.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Dan Sullivan has a program where he talks about someone calls in and they're interested in what he does. And then he has the question for them. Can I ask you just one question? Where do you expect to be 3 years from now, both personally and professionally?
Are you asking that as a question to us, or is it?
No, actually, that's a question that has worked for me, where someone will be interested in what we're doing, and I go back with them. I want to find out more where they want to be in the near future. And so by asking them that, they'll give me the information that I want so that I can serve them better.
Hey, Barbara.
For something like that, we would probably ask you to use a vision label.
Which
Because
is
it's the same thing, but you're just not putting it in the form of a question. You're saying, it seems like you have a vision for moving forward with this.
okay.
Seems like you have a vision for your company. You know, you can put that in the form of a label as opposed to a question.
And then add a no-oriented question behind it. You know, would you be opposed to sharing it with me? To just ask somebody that, a lot of times people don't know you well enough to trust you. People don't, if they don't trust you, they're not normally going to give you that information right off the bat.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or
Thank
they
you
might
both.
not, they'll give you something that's not really truthful and it doesn't help you.
Thank you.
Anybody
All right.
else?
Hey, man, this time flew by. These 30 minutes flew by quickly, and it's already the bottom of the hour.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you all for coming on and giving us an opportunity to throw some stuff around, have this conversation, and spend time with you guys, and keep doing what you're doing. You know, one of our coaches and one that I really respect, Derek Gunn, always says, you know, one degree can make all the difference in the world of getting better. He says at 211, water is just hot water. At 212, it's boiling. That 1 degree makes all the difference in the world. Keep trying to get 1 degree better, and repetitions and practice. If you're on a plane, practice the skills. You know, if you're in this grocery store, practice the skills, low stakes practice, and you'll be amazed at how much people will tell you that don't even know you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Y'all have a great weekend. I'm out, and thanks for inviting us to be a part of this.
Thank
of
you
course.
very
Thank
much.
you. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
Take care.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
No, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.